Hi guys, Sharina here. I am currently scheduled for a microdiscectomy for my L5-S1. I have been looking all over YouTube for helpful videos and I have found plenty of them. My story is slightly different, so I thought I would share my experiences to hopefully help some of you out there looking in the same situation. I've broken down my video into a few parts. I'm hoping to keep each section about 3 to 5 minutes. The parts are the injury, the journey of pain and sensation, treatments and physicians, what led me to choose surgery, and a little bit about the surgery and how to prep yourself and then also to prep home life because there's a little bit of a recoup time. Also, disclaimer, I have some animals running about, which I did not lock up, so you might see them every once in a while. Also, I have adult braces, and I'm told I don't always talk fully with my mouth because I'm so prone to hiding them now, but there you go. All right, the injury. Like I mentioned, I'm currently 37 years old. When I was 27, I was helping my husband on a construction site. We own a development company. I was standing at the edge of some cardboard. I then stood on the cardboard and it gave way because it was actually covering the stairs. So I promptly fell from the main floor right to the bottom of the stairs. I didn't feel too much pain from that, ironically. I did get up, walked away, no big issue. A few weeks later, I was walking down the stairs again, and I was carrying a very full 5-gallon bucket of paint. I slipped. I fell flat on my butt, and that I did feel. It took me a little bit to get up, but again, I was able to move, and I didn't think anything had really happened. It was during winter, and so a few days later, I was walking outside. It was a little slick. I slipped, but I did not fall. I gripped my muscles and I caught myself. And that is when I felt my first zinger, my first nerve pain experience. Did not know that's what it was. Now I know that's what it was. I went to the chiropractor. Before that, never big on doctors. Didn't really go that often. The fact that this took me to the chiropractor was saying something. So I went, and after only 4 visits, I actually felt completely fine. So I discontinued. Jumping forward a little bit, at the age of 35, I started to work out 5 days a week. I started training, not for MMA, but doing some MMA workouts. So I was rolling, I was punching, I was kicking, I was very active. My muscle engagement felt great. I felt amazing. About a year into it, I was rolling and I missed the padding and I rolled onto some concrete. I'm pretty sure I tore my rotator cuff, but did not go to the doctor. Because I noticed that my healing should probably have been faster and that I was getting some limited mobility, I did go to a physical therapist. They gave me some weenie exercises that I did not respect as much as I should have. So I did them, but not religiously. And so back to my workouts I went. Throughout that year, I did notice that I was getting a lot of muscle tension on the side of the shoulder that I hurt. It was starting in the arm, and then it went to the neck, and then it went down the back. And I was also noticing that I wasn't able to engage my muscles as well as before. My squats weren't as good, my deadlifts weren't as good, and I could not engage my back. It took me a very long time to even try and fire some muscles. At the same time, I noticed my pants were fitting a little weird. My right leg was feeling different in my pants. It was prone to step out, so it was like walking like a little duck. And my knees started to get tight. Wasn't awesome, but I figured if I just, shift my body, my positioning while I'm working out, maybe I can fix this. I started to do a lot of stretching, a lot of yoga. Fast forwarding to 37. I actually backed off of some workouts because they were hurting my knees or hurting my shoulders. So more strain on my joints than me actually engaging my muscles. It was not awesome to like the feeling, but I figured that's what I had to do because maybe I was working out too much. Let's see, I started running. I figured if I can't work out the way I'm used to, I'll do something different. Started running. I ran 2 miles on day 1. My right leg got extremely hot, extremely tight, and there was a very interesting tingling sensation. Naturally, I thought, awesome, I'm working some new muscles that I haven't engaged for a while. This is good. So I ran 3 more days in a row, and my leg continued to get hot and tight and tingly. No matter how much stretching I did, it didn't really relieve any of it. I wouldn't call it pain. It was just an agitation. Well, that weekend, I drove to Nashville twice, from Nebraska to Nashville twice in one weekend. I think that's about 3,300 miles. And I don't know if you know yet, but one of the worst things you can do is to sit for prolonged periods of time. I like to get where I'm going, so I stopped as minimally as possible. All right, so you see where this is going. I came home. Very next day, I was pretty tight in my lower back. I was feeling a knot, but a knot, to be honest, that I felt for the past few years, although this one was a little more intense. And I thought, best thing to do right now is to do a light workout and to just kind of stretch through it. So that's exactly what I did. I went down in a basic squat position. I had no weight at all, and I was actually being careful. And then I pushed my arms out in front of me to try and release my back, and I released something. I believe what happened is, with the prolonged sitting, it weakened my muscles in the lower back because they're bending, so they were stretched out. And I guess the knot in my back to that point had been my muscles trying to tighten up to keep the disc from herniating or from getting further damaged. So I weakened the muscles, I bent out and stretched them out even more, that allowed the disc to pop right out. Not a doctor, but with my research and some of the questions, that just seems to make sense to me. I totally felt a pop. My muscles rippled and shifted. I immediately became unstable, and ironically, the tingling in my leg went away that I had, and my back was super numb, and I kind of want to say like it was like a surreal feeling, like something had happened, but it didn't hurt me, so I was going to keep going. I went to work that day. Still in construction at the moment. I was painting the exterior of a building, so I was up and down the ladder. I was able to bend over, something I wasn't able to do before. I kind of knew I shouldn't be doing it, but since I wasn't able to and now I did it anyway. And so I was like, all right, well, maybe I loosened what I needed to. No big deal. Went to bed. Woke up the next morning. I could not move. The very tiniest muscle twitch that I tried to do to even wake up and shift in bed, and I immediately stopped. The pain, I would say, I'm going to say a 7 to 8. I have I guess a moderate to slightly high pain tolerance, but definitely a 7 to 8. Something was wrong. I felt like I had acid going throughout my body. My mother, unfortunately, lives with chronic pain, and me not liking to go to the doctor, I rarely take anything for headaches or muscle aches. I needed a muscle relaxer, and I knew it. So I got some. They helped me for like the first day, but I really hated how they made me feel. It felt as though they made me numb to the pain, but they didn't numb the pain. And it was just a drag, so I dealt with it. So yeah, from just some tightness to excruciating pain. That, in a nutshell, was the injury. I'm going to close this section with, notice I didn't get x-rays or MRIs or go to a doctor about the situation the whole way through. I would highly encourage anyone that's even contemplating going to the doctor, that's trying to hold back from doing it, just do it, because you're only getting older. Fortunately, I did get an x-ray when I started chiropractic care a few years ago, so I was able to compare it to a current one, and it did show that the disc had gone away a little bit, so that's been helpful. Go to the doctor, just start taking care of yourself. All right, moving on. Journey of pain and sensations. So as I mentioned before, when I started running, all I had was really an agitation, an annoying leg situation. It didn't really keep me from doing anything. I did stop running. I did notice that wasn't a good thing to do. But the weight I was lifting at the gym, I pretty much kept it. I slept well. It interfered with my life, not so much. I just rubbed the annoying part out every once in a while. It didn't go away, but again, made me feel better, kept going. What I'm going to focus on right now is what I'm calling the re-injury. So I felt as though I did create a worse situation for a bulging disc I created 10 years ago when I started running, but after going to physical therapy, which I'll talk more about in a minute, the pain decreased by 75%. And I believe my back was tight because it was protecting from the drive, but also because it was really trying to get me to where I needed to be. So, re-injury. When I woke up that morning and the pain was 7, 8, it felt as though I'd mentioned acid, but as I got up, It feels as though there is a very sharp piece of barbed wire going from your back all the way to your toes, and whenever you move incorrectly, which in the beginning is move any which way, it's like someone grabs that barbed wire and just yanks on it real good, and your whole body just seizes up, and the pain is searing. So that's where I was for week 1 to week 2. The pain, when I say 7-8, it was there after I had been in any position for a long period of time, i.e. sleeping. So after I'd laid down for more than 45 minutes, getting up would take me an hour. I would have to roll out of bed, be on my hands and knees for a while, eventually creep up to put my hands on my bathroom counter, and slowly but surely stand up. That took an hour every morning. After that, I had no interest in sitting back down or laying down at all. Couldn't sit anyway, it hurt. So I walked all day. And I stayed up as late as I could so I wouldn't have to go to bed because the pain was just gonna happen. When I did go to bed, I would really only sleep for 30 minutes to an hour at a time because no position worked. I tried putting my knees on a bar stool at the end of the bed to kind of lay in a decompression. Helped for a bit, but then you lose circulation in your legs and your body your back, it just doesn't want to be in one position for a long amount of time. You can try a pillow under your knees. You can try a pillow between your knees. For me, tried it all. Just slept as long as I could in any position, shifted a lot. Quality of life. I did not go to work. I got up, I walked, I took care of some home duties, most of which I could do. However, I was very unstable. So picking up a full laundry basket of clothes, difficult. Picking up kitty litter, difficult. I had to squat down. I could not bend down at all. And it's actually highly recommended that you only squat and not bend over. So my quality of life was, it was interfered with pretty good. My exercise routine, I did not go to the gym. I had no interest. I knew I couldn't do it. I simply couldn't do it. It was hard enough to get in the car and drive to Walmart, which is 4 minutes away, and get back home. I had to count myself through it because sitting down, pressing on the gas or the brake was just excruciating. The sensations, aside from the searing pain, it was a lot of tingling, and it almost felt as though I had a deep bruise in the back of my hip. And so when I would walk, I would almost feel as though I was pressing on that bruise every time. So I would walk very guarded, as they say. The one thing I had in my mind at this point in time was to just keep moving, because I had injured myself in the past with my shoulder, but I also rolled my ankle pretty good. And what I've learned is you've got to keep moving or your muscles are going to seize up. What is that Emerald commercial? A body in motion stays in motion, a body at rest stays at rest. So I just try to keep my blood flowing throughout the day. So in the morning when I did not want to move, I kicked myself out of bed because I knew if I just pushed through that next hour, I would feel better. So my pain during the day, I'm gonna say a 4 or 5, primarily because it was sensitive and a really deep ache, but not the searing pain that I woke up with. So week 1 and week 2 were rough for me. Moving into the next few months, and I've been in this for about 5 to 6 months. My surgery is on Monday, and I think that's about the 6-month mark. So the following 2 months, after the first 2 weeks, the pain, it went down in the morning. It got to a 5, 6, and how I would rate the pain. So for me, 9 to 10 is I'm passing the crap out. 7 to 8 is I'm not talking to you. I think I just stopped breathing, and I am not stepping on my foot. 5 to 6 is I know it's going to hurt like the dickens, but I can do it, and I know I need to do it to get through the pain. 3, 4, annoying, tender, guarded. 1, 2, I feel it. It doesn't interfere with me too much. It's just there. I typically, when I can take my anti-inflammatories, it's around when I'm getting that constant 5, 6. It just becomes annoying. And so that's when I'll take Bayer, which is awesome. Okay, the 2 months, aside from the pain decreasing a bit, I was able to get up and walk within 45 minutes. Miracle of miracles. I did continue to walk throughout the day. I did start to go back to the gym. I decreased my weight immensely. I did a lot of body weight resistant workouts, no longer lifting. Your body tells you quickly when you shouldn't do something you shouldn't do. For instance, a tingling sensation immediately, aside from the searing pain from your butt to your toes. I did go back to work, half days. I noticed my stamina was not what it used to be. I ended up working half days and then coming home and taking a nap. And that is not my usual MO. What I've been told is your muscles are firing constantly. So your body is just working hard all day long. Not only that, if you are leaning over for a good amount of time, your body's also compensating because you're not meant to walk leaning over. So all your muscles start to just really fire more than they should, than they need to. And also your nerve is firing these muscles. So you're going to get tired. Mechanically, functionally. So in the beginning, I'd mentioned the first 2 weeks I did not go to work. What I forgot to mention is I got a back brace, just a Walmart back brace. It helped me immensely because I was so unstable. I just needed that extra support to move through certain positions. I wore the back brace the first 2 weeks and also the following next 2 months. And I got a heating pad, used it throughout the night. It was amazing. Also a TENS unit. If you're struggling, on Amazon, you can find a good TENS unit. It just sends electrical pulses. I believe the way it works is it actually distracts your mind from the pain. So you're not really relieving the pain, but it's giving you some relief. Sleep. During the next 2 months, I would go to bed. I would be able to find one of the positions I mentioned earlier and sleep for an hour or two at a time. I'd wake up, I'd shift, and I'd sleep again. No big deal. What I found out is that I could only go back to sleep 1 or 2 times. So on average, I was getting about 4 hours of sleep a night, which really worked out for me because I don't mind getting up early. Also, I was taking a nap, so compensated. But again, my back was still just not wanting to be in any position for more than a few hours. The other thing I started to do were some warm-ups. So I was going to the gym, but in order to walk every morning, I found out there were some exercises that helped me. Since it was my back that was tight, I bought a resistance band. And that's like a full body band. It's not one of the flimsy weenie bands. And I was, actually, I'll attach a video. I did a few workouts or a few exercises in the morning, and it really helped me just to go from leaning over to standing up straight. It's a little rough to get through, but again, once I got through it, it was a lot better on the other side. All right, the final month. So this is where a lot of things get confusing. And again, I'll talk about the confusion later, focusing on the pain and sensations right now. During the final month, I drove to Arkansas. I did prepare myself for it. I made sure I got out and I walked at least once an hour. I made sure I did my warm-ups in the morning, and that I had my back brace and that I was sitting straight up on a very firm chair, because that seems to help. Notice I was sitting. I am sitting now. The sitting got better. I continue to walk every day. When I wake up, the pain is about a 3-4. The pain was about a 3-4, and it took me, from the last 2 months, it did go from 45 minutes to walk down to 20 minutes to walk. Improvement. I did start going, well, I can't say I went back to work fully, but I did start doing half days again. The naps started to subside. I didn't need them as frequently. The functionality at the gym, the same. I would say some workouts I was getting a little more efficient in, getting a little better, but I still didn't add weight because honestly, I know I can't. I just feel in my body, I can't do it. Although some movements are improved. Talking about mechanics and functionality, what I'm noticing now is the muscle tension is moving. So I can't say that muscle tension has improved. Pain-wise, it has a bit, but it's definitely shifting around in my body. My pain on average, like I mentioned, was a 3-4, and that is only again in the morning. Now when I walk, I am walking my usual pace. I don't feel that deep bruise in my hip anymore. I just feel as though the more I walk, the looser my body gets, the more blood flow I get going on, and so it's great. My sleep, however, is kind of the same situation. When I do wake up every few hours, I don't wake up in the deep ache I used to. I just know my body is literally saying, it's time for you to get up now because we are tired of laying here. So my sleep is still being interfered with, but again, not to a huge detriment. I don't take the naps. I'm going to ease right into the last week here. I don't take the naps anymore. When I wake up, my pain is like I'd call it a 2. And again, I don't call 1 to 2 pain. I just call it, I feel something. The walking, again, I'm walking about 4 to 6 miles a day, keeping up a good pace. Workouts, the same. And I'm able to engage more in work. So my stamina is coming back. It is not what it used to be. Nothing that even though I'm saying there's improvement, nothing, the life that I'm living right now is not what it used to be. Lastly, I didn't talk much about sensations. So let me talk about that real quick. So for me, it's the L5S1. However, there's a disc bulge at L3. My sensations do start in my lower back. They go down into the butt, and then I feel them hardcore in the back of my right thigh, behind my knee, my calf, and when the pain was intense, like my foot felt like it was on fire, and it wrapped around, like the barbed wire wrapped around my foot like a stirrup. And then I have numbness and tingling on the inside of my leg, and also sometimes the front. So that whole sucker, it went from the searing pain, but now it's mostly tingling. So I know I am compressing the nerve or the disc or something is going on, and I should stop doing what I'm doing when I start to feel a warm sensation and tingling. Let me touch briefly on degrees of herniation. I do not know the degree of my herniation. I don't think I will know until surgery. I do know that some people, some unfortunate souls, herniate their discs so severely that they stay in the weak one that I had constantly. That must be miserable. Fortunately, that is not my story. Again, I don't know the degree of herniation, but I do know that over 6 months' time, I've come quite a long way. And even though it seems as though waking up with a pain level of 2 and being able to go back to the gym and everything seems like I don't need surgery, I will discuss later why I'm actually choosing it still. A few oddities. I had mentioned that the muscle tension was traveling from my upper back down into the mid back, and that it would just seem to shift around. Some of the things that I have noticed are that my left knee and left ankle are starting to hurt. I have lost 30 pounds. I love food. That's why I like to work out, because I need to work for the brownie, right? But this weight loss is completely atypical to me, because I've been trying to lose weight for 3 years, and I didn't lose a thing after working out for 3 years. What I'm thinking is the nerve pain obviously is probably suppressing my appetite a bit, but also my muscles are really tense in my lower back and therefore my core, and I feel that that's probably just pressing on my stomach. I'm starting to get chest pains, just kind of little pressure points of pain, and sometimes stabbing when I go to breathe. And it also feels like someone recently has started to grab my esophagus and slowly squeeze. So I take smaller bites of food, I don't want to eat as much, and I'm doing a lot of protein shakes. Ears, they get clogged a lot, a few hours out of the day, the whole time I'm making this video actually. And so I'm only assuming it's muscle tension, and it's going everywhere. I pop constantly. My favorite experience is when I went to lay down the other night, I rolled over, and in a little shift, I popped 4 times. Once while I was exhaling, once while I was inhaling, the other time while I moved my neck, and the other time when I moved my shoulder. I, again, am not a doctor, but I'm assuming this is just a lot of muscle tension. I did start to take Bayer. The anti-inflammatories are very helpful. I just currently can't because I'm 2 weeks pre-op. Lastly, this isn't a new occurrence. I've actually noticed it over the past year. Another sign that I probably should have paid more attention to, but I've not used a pillow for the last year. They immediately give me a headache. So muscle tension in the neck, sounds like it makes sense. Okay, treatments and physicians. All right, so I'm going to go back to the beginning a bit, all the way to 10 years ago. So when I did fall twice, I did go see a chiropractor. I do believe I did x-rays at that point. It took about 4 weeks, the pain was gone, didn't think a thing of it. Later, when I was rolling and hurt my shoulder, I did go to a physical therapist. No x-rays, no MRIs, no doctor. Took some exercises, went on my merry way. After that, the year after, when I mentioned the muscle tension, I knew I could be aiding myself in a better way, but I didn't want to stop working out. So instead of going to the doctor, I went to a physical therapist, and actually, lies, I went to a chiropractor and a massage therapist. I did do that routinely for 2 years, once a month. The massage therapy helped immensely in relieving a lot of the tension, but I'm going to say immensely for like the first week, because the tension always came back. She was always working on the same spots. And a good massage therapist can give you a lot of insight as to where you are tight, what it's affecting, and maybe looking at your routine and figuring out why you're tight so you can hopefully adjust something. The chiropractor adjusted my neck, my back, my leg, the things that I kept complaining about, but none of us really knew why this was happening. Once I started running and I felt the agitation in my right leg, I went to another physical therapist, a different physical therapist. He did an assessment, and this was awesome because the first one didn't do this, with some instruments to where he can gauge my strength on each side. And my right side was weaker, although I am right-handed, so right hand dominant. It should not have been weaker, so that was a sign that something was wrong. He immediately mentioned that it's probably something with my back, something with a disc, and he gave me some exercises and I did them. Like I mentioned, the pain at that point, it was a little painful. It went away by 75%, so it became nothing. And this was after about a month. So the morning I woke up and I felt acid flood my body, I called a neurosurgeon, set an appointment. He told me to get an x-ray and an MRI. I did these things, and then he showed me my herniated disc. He said, you could do shots, you could do an epidural, you can continue physical therapy. And at this point, I had actually been in for quite a while because they require you to be in for about 14 weeks, I think. I had done that. He said, you can do all these things, but they're going to be temporary. Surgery is going to be your only permanent relief. That is not what I wanted to hear. So I asked him if it was 100% necessary or if these things heal on their own. He said they do, but they take a very long time. I did not ask him how long because I was simply happy he said I could do it on my own. But I believe some research has showed me that it could be like 5 to 6 years. In considering the shots and the epidurals, again, I mentioned my mother lives in chronic pain and she lives that life. I don't want to live that life. I feel for everyone that has to. With the epidurals, I know some people that got them and it did not really work that well for them. And so I wasn't anxious to spend more money and time to potentially be in more pain or to be in the same pain. So he said because I was not feeling any extreme weakness, because I passed some tests like walking on your heels, walking on your toes, and nothing seemed to be causing permanent nerve damage, he said, feel free, try it, give me a call if you change your mind. 2 weeks later, I changed my mind. But during that period, because it was about a month from me changing my mind to the actual surgery date, I started to feel better, like I mentioned, and I started to question everything. So I went to a different chiropractor and a different physical therapist to get another perspective. After going to them for 3 weeks, well, here's the deal. You're going to get a lot of opinions, and at some point you're going to have to make the decision for yourself. The chiropractor said, I wish I saw you 6 weeks ago. I feel decompression could really help you avoid surgery. I did 3 weeks of decompression, and I can't say there was a huge improvement, but could I correlate that with my pain going down? I simply don't know. My physical therapist mentioned that even though I was doing some exercises and there was some improvement in range of motion, the weakness in my right leg was still there. And that's just not ideal. So he actually said, you're making the right choice. Go ahead and go for it. I recently got a massage, and my massage therapist knew what trigger points to press on for the sciatic nerve. And she actually didn't mention this before, but I in fact did start to feel some pain and sensations on my left side recently. And I just kind of blew it off. Crap, that's a pattern, isn't it? I blew it off and she pressed them and I couldn't blow it off anymore. I definitely have tension in both sides of my body. The nerve is firing or misfiring, whatever you want to say, on both sides of my body. And it's undeniable. I'm healing in some ways, but it's not quite going away all the way. She helped me to conclude that yes, I've made the right decision and I need to just follow through with it. So now to the surgery and why I am officially following through with it. Okay, to the fun part. And the very confusing part. I have been going around and around with this for the past few months. What has finally led me to following through with this surgery is, first of all, I feel confident with my doctor. I was able to speak with him. He put me at ease with a lot of things. Ask all your questions, guys. Ask them all. I was able to speak with numerous others that have had this procedure, as well as fusions. This is not a fusion. This is a simple microdiscectomy, but I liked to be informed on both ends of the spectrum. While one of these individuals had a bad experience with back surgery in the past, it was that specific experience. He later got his procedure redone, and it was worth it. He said absolutely worth it. So there are some bad experiences out there, but the people I spoke to said they would do it again in a heartbeat, and that is because I believe that their quality of life was taken down so much with where they were that the surgery was actually an improvement for them. They weren't in that agitation, not quite pain state. It was literally interfering with their lives. And I would assess that even though my pain has decreased, my stamina has increased, my quality of life is going back up, it is still not what it used to be. And I still have that tightness that I've had for 10 years. So to think that that's going to just go away would be irresponsible, and I'm tired of making those choices. The weakness in my right leg, still there. And even though it was mentioned to me that permanent nerve damage isn't a concern, when would it become one? And I don't want to get to that point. So, responsibility, I guess. I want my life to be the best it can be. I'm not 27, but I'm just 37. And I've got a few more years left, and I want them to be as good as possible. Now, in making this decision for yourself, I would highly suggest that you seek as much professional advice as possible. Seek out as many people that have had this procedure as possible, and be realistic with the outcome. I'm not expecting to be able to run marathons. I might not be able to run again. Some people do, some people don't. I may never lift the same weights that I used to. I may never roll and do flips again. But the slightest improvement from where I am, if it's going to keep me from getting a knee replacement in the future because my body is so out of alignment from being seized up all the time, worth it. So worth it. So assess for yourself. How is your life being affected? Do you want more out of your life? And do you feel confident with your doctor and the testimonies? Only you can make this decision for you, because if you look out to others to make it for you, you're going to be nothing but confused. So I wish you luck with that. Lastly, the procedure itself and a little prep that is necessary for it. The procedure itself, as was described to me, is minimally invasive and outpatient. So not scary, right? Okay. So supposedly you go in, it's only a 1 to 2 inch incision wherever you're getting your microdiscectomy done. They move your muscles aside, so they move them out of the position that they love to be in, and they move your nerve aside. Your nerve doesn't like to be touched, so it's going to be pulled to the side. They remove only the herniation of the disc. I believe they flood the cavity with steroids for anti-inflammation and then also some painkiller. And I think that has you feeling pretty good for about 3 days. And then they sew you back together. What I've heard is that what you feel after the surgery, the leg pain should be gone. The sciatic nerve issue should be gone, at least for the first 3 days because of the painkiller. And I have heard that some people's pain comes back and it concerns them because they think the surgery didn't work. In actuality, fingers crossed, it's that your nerve was agitated, your muscles were agitated, and your body's just a little angry from all that shifting. So with the painkiller wearing off, you're gonna feel that surge every once in a while. Plus the nerve itself actually takes quite a while to heal. So it could be a few months before all of the pain really subsides. Also, depending on how long you've had this issue. I have had an issue for about 10 years. I've had a genuine issue for about 3 years and an acute issue for 6 months. So I'm really curious to see how this is going to work. Now, prepping for the surgery. Prepping for the surgery. If you don't want to know what happens, I highly suggest you don't research it. But I researched everything. And, friend, you are going to be naked as the day you came into this world, bottoms up. So if you have any modesty issues, you'll be asleep, so don't worry about it. Or if you have any maintenance issues, you might want to make an appointment with your local beautician, get some things taken care of. Aside from that little detail, one of the reasons I almost didn't do the surgery to begin with, kidding, kind of not kidding, the prepping. I go to the gym a lot, I mentioned. I take supplements. I take a lot of supplements. I had to stop all of them 2 weeks in advance. You are not allowed to shave 3 days prior. For some people, chicks, that's not an issue. For others, it is. Again, modesty doesn't count here. Just get the pain gone. So that's the basics of the surgery prep. They have you wash with a certain soap, and you're going to find a lot of videos and handouts with this information. So I'm going to let those people do the talking. We don't have children, but I do a lot around the house. So in order for me to prepare for the supposed 2 to 8 weeks of recovery, I am preparing a lot of meals. I am preparing a lot of litter for the cats, so that doesn't become an issue. And just trying to plan ahead as much as possible. Fortunately, it's winter, the grass has stopped growing, and the leaves, we did a lot of leaves this weekend. You also have to prepare your significant other for the fact that there will be no dirty business for about 6 weeks. Enter creativity here. The 3 things that had me hesitating whether or not to do the surgery was the recoup time. They did say, as I mentioned before, it's 2 to 8 weeks. I believe it's 2 weeks, pretty intense, and the weeks after that, you slowly start to get back into your life. So I didn't want to be out of commission for that long, but what is 8 weeks when it can truly just enhance the quality of my life overall? The what ifs. What if it doesn't work? What if I come out worse? If it doesn't work, I am right where I started, and at least I tried the responsible thing. If I come out worse, I've said my prayers to Jesus, and I feel pretty confident with moving forward. If it comes out worse, it is what it is, and at least I tried to be responsible. The 3rd reason was the money. I do have insurance, and I was told the surgery is about $40,000 to $50,000. I do believe my insurance covers the majority, thank God, and I owe about $7,000 to $10,000. That is not how I wanted to spend $7,000 to $10,000 on back surgery this year. But again, you have to invest in yourself. And we only get one body, guys. And if I don't do it now, I'm going to regret it when I'm 50. And I don't want to look forward to that regret. So now or never. Not going to lie, a little bit of a modesty issue that had me second guessing for a bit. But again, you're knocked out, right? That's what I'm going with. In conclusion, I hope this has helped you. I went through a large period of time very confused about what to do. And so I just wanted to spell out my story and hopefully have it help some of you guys to come to your own conclusions. If you guys are going through this, I feel for you. I really do. And I pray that you have a very good outcome and that all works out for you. Thanks for your time, guys. Bye.